Hello, Mesa Church, and welcome to another Come to the Table podcast. Today is week 2 of Missionary May, and we have two special guests from the University of Houston.
Hi, I'm Allison, and I am a missionary with Chi Alpha Campus Ministries at UH.
Hello, Mesa Church. Y'all might have seen me before. I'm Kyra Hamilton, and I'm also a Chi Alpha missionary at the University of Houston.
Okay, well, guys, welcome to the podcast today. Thanks for doing this for us. So, I was going to ask you to start off. We are in a small town here, right? 6,000 people. So, Houston has like 8,000 people in the metro, or 8 million, I'm sorry. 8 million people in the metro. So I was going to ask you, what is your favorite part of Houston? Allison can go first.
I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite part of Houston. I mean, I think if I had to choose, I think it'd be like kind of the area I'm in right now, like more towards outskirts of downtown, just because there's a lot to do. Like I'm never bored. I can go 10 minutes down the road and I'll be at like Cidercade, or I'll be like I can be in something. And so there's like so much to do, and it's also close by. So it's really hard to get bored.
Tell them what Cidercade is, because I've been trying to hype it up here. I think it's an awesome place.
I literally just took a bunch of people there. It's just like it's an arcade where you pay like $12 and you can basically play old arcade games for however long you want, like unlimited play for those $12. And now they've added in this really cool like pixel floor game in the back.
Interesting.
It's so fun. We were there for like 3 hours.
I think I went for my birthday like in 2023, 22, somewhere around there. Anyway, Kyra, what's your favorite thing about Houston?
I think pretty much the cultural diversity. Honestly, I've been able to eat so many different types of food, and it's authentic food from different cultures, and just being able to celebrate like the way that the Lord has created all cultures differently, and they reflect Him in different ways. And just being able to celebrate those things and be able to participate and explore and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's awesome. I think I was gonna say food, but then that feels too big back of me. I think I like the Astros. Go Astros. They don't, because the local team here is the Rockies, and they're at this moment they're like 5-26 or something like that. They're terrible. But anyway, so Missionary May, we're here to talk about missionaries, and you guys are U.S. missionaries, right?
Yes.
So, what led you to become a U.S. missionary?
For me, for me, it's mostly because the Lord told me that I was going to do it, and so it was pretty much. I was sitting in my car, I was listening to the radio, Christian radio, and they were talking about how crazy the Lord can just transform your life, and you just end up in places that you never thought you would ever be. And I was just thinking on it, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of crazy. And then the Lord just met me right then and there, and He was like, hey, you're gonna do the Chi Alpha internship. And so I was like, okay, you said I'm gonna do it, so I'm gonna do it. And that's just kind of how it all started.
I mean, it's basically the same for me. Like I graduated a semester late, so my timeline in college was a little bit funky. But my last full year of college, I was praying because I didn't know what to do. Like I knew that a quote unquote regular job wasn't what God had in store for me. And so like I was kind of panicking and just being like, God, what am I supposed to do? And then my small group leader at the time, she was like, hey, God told me to tell you to pray about the internship. And I was like, okay, I'll think about it. And so I was like kind of praying about it, considering doing it. And then during one of our church services at Chi Alpha, I went up to the altar to pray, and my pastor came to talk to me, and he just kind of confirmed like that was the path that God wanted me to take, was like being a missionary with Chi Alpha for at least a couple years, and just like ministering at my college campus. So like
Awesome.
basically all that up, God. Like
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you guys, what is a typical day look like for you guys on campus?
my day can kind of look a little bit different than Kira's because I am technically classified as an intern,
Mm-hmm.
trying to work towards becoming like full staff. I think there's a couple questions about that right now, just trying to figure out a couple of things. But my day will typically start with like intern Devo time. So like I start at 9 o'clock and I'm supposed to be either in my house or on campus doing Devo with the other interns in Chi Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we have staff prayer. So we'll pray starting at like anywhere from 10 to 10:15 to about 11 o'clock. And then that's when like every single day it changes. Tuesdays we have staff meeting, and those can take a couple of hours. And then after that, it's kind of a do your own work kind of thing. Like for me, I'll take theology classes, or I'll have one-on-ones with my small group girls. And then for me on Wednesdays, the morning's the same, but instead of staff prayer, I have intern classes.
Okay.
So I'll be taking classes on like mental health or theology classes, taught by my boss Matt. Um, and then on Thursdays is a very busy day. That's when we have our church services. So again, morning's the same. After like prayer, we go and we try to set up this thing we call contact table. Basically, like some of us will go out at a literal table on campus, and we will try to get students to come and join us. We're like, hey, like, are you interested in Bible study? Do you want to come to church service tonight? We'll ask students if they need prayer. Sometimes we'll have a question up that's like, who do you think Jesus is? Things like that. And then Friday is a little bit more free because a lot of times on Thursdays, like there's after like church hangouts, like after large group hangouts that we go to. So sometimes we won't be back from work until like 11 o'clock at night. So the next morning we start a little bit later. And this year, like I've been helping lead some prayer meetings on my campus on Fridays, as well as meeting up with some of the other girls in Chi Alpha and doing Bible studies with them, and then just catching up with other work that needs to be done for the week.
So full-time job.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, that was a lot. I realize I
More
rambled a lot, but
more full-time job. Yeah.
yeah, it's because also our hours are never consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if if somebody needs us, then we're available. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm available a lot. Like I do have a lot of boundaries with a lot of people, but like if one of my girls needs me at a certain time, like it's like not a normal like work hour, I'm still available and like
Mm-hmm.
going to help them and stuff. So like our hours are normally not super consistent.
Yeah. Okay. Um, is Kira frozen again?
I am indeed frozen.
Hi,
Look,
Kila.
it looks like you're sleeping through
I'm
Allison's explanation.
asleep. It looks like I'm asleep. It's
Okay.
fine.
I'm so sorry for my long explanation, Kila.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I put you to sleep.
I promise people
Sorry.
I'm not asleep. It's just frozen.
I'm sorry my podcast is boring.
It's not. Oh my goodness. Anyway, but yes, honestly, it's not too much different from my day to day. Is not too much different from Allison's. It's mostly just different people.
Mm-hmm.
I still take theological classes when I can, but those are out of pocket, and so it takes me a little bit longer to kind of get through them. And then I serve people. I do the prayer in the morning. I have my own devotional time in the morning. Um, and we do contact table on Thursdays, which I'm a part of. I have my own girls that I pour into, and I disciple. And for me, instead of discipling small group girls, I actually disciple small group leaders, and I help other young women be able to disciple small group girls.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, and so with me, it's I pick up the phone, um, I picked up the phone for emergencies for small group leaders that are having an emergency for their small group girl. So it's like it's like a domino effect. And so I've had several crazy calls this past semester, and so it's been a wild ride, but it's really fun. But yeah, it's definitely a full-time job. I
Yeah.
honestly probably even more so. So
So I was gonna ask you guys more about contact table, right? Because me and Patty kind of touched on it a little bit last week in our intro to Missionary May. I talked about some of my experiences at contact table. Do you see contact table as like very fruitful, or like do you have any like crazy like experiences with it? Like I know I do, but what about you guys?
I think contact table, it can be fruitful. It is sometimes hard to actually see that fruit though, because UH is a very hard campus.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, like, it like really depends on the day, because sometimes we will get people coming up and are actually super excited to talk with us or to answer the question that we've come up with. And then other days we get like people just straight up wanting to avoid us. Uh, there was there was one time where we were doing it and a girl booed me and Kyra, and she was
yeah.
like, "Y'all aren't real Christians. I'm a
I
real
mean,
Christian."
did you
Um,
deserve it?
hmm?
Did you deserve it? I'm just kidding.
I mean,
No.
I mean, it's just crazy because it's like she was like, "I'm a real Christian. Y'all aren't real Christians." And me and Kyra just like, "Okay, can you tell us what you mean by that?" And she just kept telling us boo and walked away from us. And then a lot of times we get quite a few Muslim students debating us. There was a
Yeah.
we can talk about this time. There was that one time it was the day before Valentine's Day.
Yeah, yeah. So basically what ended up happening was we put a question. Sometimes for contact table we'll put a thought-provoking question.
Mm-hmm.
And so our thought-provoking question was, what is love? Like, what is the definition of love?
Baby, don't hurt
And
me.
so, huh?
Nothing.
Bruh, not the baby don't hurt you. My
Oh
goodness.
my gosh. Anyway, and so we asked that question, and funnily enough, there was a lot of people that it couldn't even give a simple definition, not even just what you feel or liking someone a whole bunch or anything like that. Like they genuinely couldn't even come up with any sort of explanation of what exactly love is. And so it was an opportunity for us to be able to share the gospel, saying that love is unselfishly choosing for the highest good of another. And we see that perfectly reflected in Jesus Christ, him being fully God and fully man, stepping down from heaven to take on the sin of the entire world and coming back and redeeming us so we can be with him forever, and like being able to share the gospel message through exactly what love is through that definition. And we ended up getting a lot of conversation, and because of the way that I framed it and the fact that he was fully God and fully man, there's a lot of Muslim men that were like, hey, now what are you talking about? And so it ended up bringing about like I don't know if it was fruitful, but ended up having a lot of conversation with Muslim men about just Christian theology versus Muslim theology.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think some of it was very fruitful actually, because there's two sets of Muslim men that came around, and one of the sets were just like, nah, we don't want to hear that. We're Muslim, whatever. And so when I started explaining it, the guy that was like, nah, I don't want to hear it, was like, wait, hold on. It's kind of fire though. um, and for those that don't understand what that means, it just means that it was really good,
Mm-hmm.
and that he really liked it. And so, but yeah, he said that, and then the second group kind of stayed around and like talk with us about theology in general for about like 30 minutes.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And yeah, and it was pretty wild, and that was probably one of the most fruitful contact tables that we've had. And even while that was happening, there was this one Hindu guy that came up, and he was telling me that he believes in Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
But he's a Hindu, and so he worships multiple gods. And so he asked me, "Do you think I'm going to hell?" And so I
Oh,
had to break it down, and I was like, "Hey, I am not the ultimate judge,
mm-hmm.
but Jesus says that He is the way, He is the truth, and He's the life. And if you are wondering whether or not you're going to heaven or going to hell, you need to understand fully the claims of Jesus and the fact that He is the only way. And He
Yeah.
claims that He is the only way. And if you are allowing yourself to maneuver around that and rely on other ways, then you need to like really think about it and count the cost.
Yeah.
So, and I ended up praying for him, and I prayed that the Holy Spirit would reveal the truth to him, and
Mm-hmm.
that Jesus truly is the way, and that these other gods are unfruitful in his life. And so, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I was in Chi Alpha, I got a lot of my Bible study guys from Contact Table, just
Mm-hmm.
with the thought provoking questions. So I think that's really great that y'all are still doing that. Um, but I was gonna ask you guys. Well, I was gonna talk about like how you said Houston is very culturally diverse, right? So it's actually the most culturally diverse city in America. So that's pretty cool. So Houston is kind of like a melting pot, and so you get a lot of international students, right? So they're from like unreached areas, from closed countries. So like I was gonna ask, do you have any friends that are from unreached and closed countries, or like do you have any like experiences with those kind of people?
Yes, specifically I do. I am talking with and hanging out with two international students,
Mm-hmm.
two girls. Also, just so to let Mesa Church know, so at the University of Houston, 1 in 10 students are international students.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of international students that come to the University of Houston. And so that is definitely one of the biggest prayer points that we have. And that's part of the reason why we feel as though that our university in specific is one of the most strategic mission fields in the US, because there's so many international students. There's so many, um, especially international students that are from closed countries. Like my girl from Iran, I'm not going to say her name, but
Yeah.
for safety reasons. My girl from Iran, she became my friend a couple years ago. Sorry, you can't even see me. I'm frozen. I was swatting away flies. But, and so anyway, my girl from Iran, I have been slowly but surely giving her the gospel message over a course of some time, and just sharing with her the things that I believe. She ended up coming with us to SALT, which is our winter conference one year. And she just fell in love with, I guess, the culture, the Christian culture,
Mm-hmm.
which is not great, but at the same time, she's slowly but learning the gospel message. She had been really hurt by Islam,
Mm-hmm.
and really hurt by her father, which is part of the reason why it's been a little difficult for her to really receive and give her life to Jesus. Because if you have daddy issues, then it's hard to see God the Father right.
Yeah.
Um, and so just being able to walk with her through that and be able to connect with her and give her the gospel truth has been so fun. And I even had to break it down like she was 3 years old. She even told me, she's like, Kyra, I still don't understand. You have to talk to me like I'm 3 years old. And so I was like, okay, let me try. And but yeah, she has been so wonderful. And I had another girl who's from India. She's from southern India, so she knows the gospel, and she's a Christian, but she comes from a mixed household. Her mother is a Christian and her father is Hindu. And so that brings a whole different dynamic, and half of her family hates her because she's a Christian and she's not Hindu anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there's a lot of cultural things that go on with that. But yeah, it's been fun to
Yeah.
be able to go and connect with these young women, and also connect with the other international students in our Chi Alpha, because it's not even just these two girls that I'm talking to. There's other small group leaders that are connecting with international students. We have people from Eastern Europe. We have people from Africa, from Malawi, and stuff like that. And so, but yeah.
Yeah, cool. What about you, Allison?
I have not had a whole lot of like interactions with international students on campus. I've gone overseas on a trip with Chi Alpha and like gotten to kind of like see other cultures in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But like on campus, I have not met a whole lot, like me myself, I have not been able to minister to a whole lot of international students.
Yeah.
And I want to. Hopefully, I'll get to this next year because that's kind of one of my goals and that's one of my prayers. Just because, as Kyra said, like it is the like one of the most strategic missions fields probably in the United States because of the diversity. Because like people that can come to know Jesus here that can't know Jesus at home,
Mm-hmm.
like take that knowledge back and minister to people in their homes the ways that we can't. Because like no matter even if we like understand and study other cultures, like if we aren't like a part of that culture, there's only so much we can do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really cool and really important to remember that like at UH and not look at it just as like not just as like an American and like Houston thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is an international thing.
Yeah. So that's probably something we can be praying for you about, right? Is reaching international students, correct?
100%.
Awesome.
For sure.
Okay, so let's go into something a little bit more fun, right? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing
Absolutely.
the $15 thing. So I'll let Allison go first. So you have $15 to create the perfect summer barbecue. Okay. And so there's four different categories. There's a main, a side, an activity, and a dessert. And
Dessert.
so, okay. And so you have $15. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. For your main, for $5, you can get burger and hot dogs. Right. For $4, you can get ribs. For $3, you can get pizza. For $2, you can get sushi. Or for $1, you can get bread and butter.
Oh no.
This is a
What,
summer barbecue. So
what was 3 again?
3 is pizza. 4 is ribs, and 5 is burgers and hot dogs.
I'm gonna go with ribs.
Ribs, okay. All right, next is your side dish. Are you ready? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For $5, you can get buffalo wings. For $4, you can get mac and cheese. For $3, you can get corn on the cob. For $2, you get cornbread, or for $1, baked beans.
I'm gonna go with baked beans. I actually like baked beans. Can't even lie.
Oh, you did a $1 choice. That means you could probably do 5 the rest of the way. No, never mind. Oh yeah, you can. You have 5. You have $10 left. You ready? So your next thing is your activity. For
Mm-hmm.
$5, you can have a pool party. For $4, you can play volleyball. For $3, you can play cornhole. For $2, you play board games, and for $1, you can play Jenga.
Wait, I actually kind of like board games. My family is menaces when it comes to board games, also cornhole. So it's actually very entertaining in my family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know what? We're going to do pool party.
Pool party, you got it right. That's
Mm-hmm.
like already a good party. But for dessert, you ready?
Yes,
For five
my favorite part of the meal.
for $5, you can rent an ice cream truck. For $4, you can do s'mores. For $3, you get the little worms and dirt thing cup. For $2, you can do cupcakes, or for $1, key lime pie.
I'm gonna do that ice cream truck, man.
Yeah, I know. You had the $5, so you might as well spend it, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now it's Kira's turn. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So yours is different. Yours is you're building your perfect day of food. Um,
Perfect day of food.
Perfect day of food. So you have $15 and you have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and dessert.
Okay,
Okay. So for
I'm nervous.
breakfast for $5, you get to go to your local diner, like the best one in Houston, right? Like what is that, Breakfast Club or something like that, right? For $4, you go to Waffle House. For $3, you get Denny's. For $2, you get McDonald's, and for $1, you get Taco Bell.
Let's go with Denny's.
Ooh, okay. Our
Hey, I
Denny's.
like Denny's.
Uh, I've had one good experience at our Denny's here in Raton, I think. But anyway, okay.
Houston's all different, remember?
Shout out Denny's in Raton. For lunch, for $5, you can get Buffalo Wild Wings. For
No.
$4, you can go to take a road trip to Bucky's. For $3, you can get Applebee's. For $2, Domino's, and $1 is Arby's.
Oh, let's go with Domino's. That sounds good.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. That's crazy. I would have gone Bucky's. I miss Bucky's.
I was thinking about Bucky's, but
Because that's like a whole trip.
sometimes the price just doesn't. Sometimes the price just doesn't justify the flavor.
That's fair. But lucky for us here in Raton, they built one in Amarillo, so that's only like 3-ish hours away. So praise God. Um, all right. For dinner, for $5 you can have a 5-star steakhouse. For $4
Woo!
you get a Chinese buffet. For $2 you get Whataburger, and for $1 Long John Silver's.
Let's go with Steakhouse.
Okay, so you actually have $5 left. All right. For dessert, number 5 is your choice, or $5. Sorry, $4 is an ice cream shop. $3 is Dairy Queen. $2 is a candy shop, and $1 is a Kit Kat.
Wow. You said I have $5 left?
$5 is whatever you want.
You
Yeah,
said I had $5
you have
left?
$5 left. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm just gonna get whatever I want.
And what do you want?
I don't know. Honestly, DQ is not that bad. Get a blizzard, whatever I want.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
I would choose Bolillo's in Houston.
Bolillo.
The
El
Mexican
Bolillo.
bakery. I haven't had a concha in forever.
I literally had a concha like last week.
Must be nice. I know there's one right by campus too.
Sorry. You mean to tell me there's not uh, sorry. Something happened. Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah. There's no Mexican bakery here. Someone in Raton do that. Start a Mexican bakery. I can't bake, so don't ask me to do it.
You should. I feel like there would be, but I guess not.
You know what's funny? I forgot to ask the question again, even though I said right before we started recording I was going to ask the question first thing. Okay, so moving back to you guys, I'll start with Kyra this time. If you could eat dinner with anybody from the Bible that's not Jesus, because that's cheating, who would it be?
I'm gonna say Peter.
Peter?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I just really relate with him. And so,
I
yeah,
didn't
just
know. I
talking.
didn't know you were a bodyguard.
Oh yeah, there was one time. There
Oh
was one
God.
time Allison set off my mom alarm, and I was literally about to come out the house swinging because she was freaking out about something.
It was my
So,
car window. My car window was broken.
Did
It's
someone
so
break into it or what?
no, it just broke. I went through a drive-through and I rolled down my window and it fell out of the frame, like off the track. So it fell into the door of my car and it was about to rain. And so I went back to the house and I'm outside and I'm just going, Kyra, Kyra. And so she comes running outside and she's like, what happened?
She has like a knife in her hand.
No, I didn't have a weapon in my hand.
It was, I have set off Kyra's mom alarm multiple times and she has been my bodyguard multiple times.
Then you are like Peter Simon, huh? Or Simon Peter. Yeah. Okay. What about you, Allison?
I think I'd have to say Phoebe, just because, like,
Who?
Phoebe, the
Oh.
girl who brought Romans to the Romans.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like they don't really talk about her in the Bible. She's mentioned like maybe twice in Romans, but like she's also called like a helper to many, which I
Mhm.
think is really cool. Like I want to know like what her role was specifically, because also she was supposed to have had like a kind of higher up role in the church, and like as a woman in that time, that's actually really cool to like. It's actually really cool. Like I really respect that, and like as a woman in ministry, like I want to know more about women in ministry at that time. Like what were the challenges? How did that like what were her specific roles? What was her jobs? Like and just kind of like her journey to trying to take that to the Romans, like the book of Romans to the Romans, and what it was like when she got there, and just like basically what she did for ministry. And so, because I also feel like part of my job too is like, because part of her job was going to take the book of Romans to the Romans, but also like welcome them kind
Yeah.
of into the presence of Jesus with that. And like a big part of our job is welcoming people into the presence of Jesus into our lives. And so I think that that's really cool. And I just want to know how she did it.
Mhm. Awesome. I was gonna ask you guys, moving on to another question. Sorry.
Mhm.
Um, do what do you like? What do y'all think about missions in general? Like, explain to the audience like why do you guys think that missions is so important?
Um, I think, okay, that's a really tough question actually. But I think missions is really important because like it does help reach people. Like it helps, because like our full-time career at this point is trying to make Jesus known to people.
Hmm.
And like with how busy the world is, like working like a normal office job or something, like that doesn't provide a whole lot of time to reach people. Like you can still reach people, but like using it as a career is very different.
Yeah.
And like to me, making Jesus known to those who don't know him and like helping people get reconciled to him is like the most important thing. Because God
Yeah.
wants to see all his children saved. Like he wants to see them all come home to him. And so like it's just like that's what missions is like reconciling people to
Hmm.
him. And also we're all called to do that. Like we're all called to like bring people into his presence. Like if you know him and you love him, doesn't matter your capacity. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that yeah. Sorry, Kyra, you go.
Yeah. So there's this book called The Challenge of Missions by Oswald J. Smith, The Challenge of Missions.
Hmm.
And for anyone that wants to read it, you should totally read it. But Oswald J. Smith's whole thing, honestly, he eliminates excuses when it comes to missions. Missions is the forefront and the entirety of Jesus's goal is to redeem all humanity. And the only way to do that is for those that know about what Jesus has done on the cross, for those that know to tell other people. And
Yeah.
it's actually pretty selfish for us not to tell other people about the hope that we have and what Jesus has done for us on the cross and the redemption and the joy that we have found, very much like the parable of the guy that finds the treasure in the field. Like he sold all of his possessions to have this one thing. And like that's how valuable salvation, that's how valuable a relationship with God is. And the way that Oswald J. Smith breaks it down is like either you go or you support people that are going. There
Mhm.
is no in between. Everyone is called to bring about the gospel message to everywhere in the world. Either you yourself go, either temporarily or for a lifetime, or you either financially support or prayerfully support or both. the mission, because the mission of God, the goal of God, is to reconcile all humanity to himself. And it is our job as the body of Christ, as the bride of Christ, to make sure that our groom has his bride, that he has what he has come to die for, that the lamb that was slain would get what he was slain for, you know? And so it's so important that every Christian understands that the missions is not extra Christian-y deal. It is the whole purpose of being a Christian.
Yeah.
It's to know Jesus and to make him known to others. There is no in between. Like, missions is for everyone, and everyone should be a part of missions. It is part of the heart of God. And it hurts the heart of God when you're not willing to step out and bring other people in.
Yeah. Yeah. I am a firm believer that the mission field is where your feet are, right?
Yeah.
And so there was that time where, like, I like what you're saying, because there was a time where, and I think I've told it here at church before, that I was waiting at a red light and there was a homeless guy next to me, and I didn't give him any attention, because that's what you do, you know? Like, I was just staring straight forward, waiting for the light to turn, and I took off, and then I, like, felt so convicted, and, like,
Yeah.
I heard God say, like, how dare you, like, not even acknowledge his existence. And it was kind of like this thing of, like, it says in the Bible, if you have it, give it. And a lot of people talk about that with, like, money and stuff like that, but really it's like joy, the gospel. And God said, like, when you ignore somebody who, like, when you just don't acknowledge them, you're denying them the gospel, which is, like, that's a scary thing. It's like, if I'm ignoring someone because I don't want to deal with them, then I am basically saying, hey, you don't deserve joy, which is like, yeah. But that's cool. Do you guys, like, on campus, like, what do you think is, like, the the biggest struggle as a missionary in Houston? Like, what is the biggest struggle on campus?
I think it's that the fact that, like, UH is a very secular campus. Like, Houston itself is very secular. Like, kind of the culture of just do what you want when you want, do it for yourself. Like, kind of selfish mindset, which I feel like just gets worse and worse as generations go on.
Yeah.
But like when you're at UH, when you're away from home and, like, you're just surrounded by friends, like, it's very different, because then, like, those are the people that are now influencing you, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
and a lot of times it's not the best influence. So it's just like, I feel like it's just really hard, because it's kind of like the world versus Jesus, basically. Like, are you going to choose the things of this world, or are you going to choose Jesus? And the problem is, the things of this world gives that, like, immediate satisfaction most of the time. And a lot of times people don't want to wait toward Jesus. Like, they just don't want to, like, give up what they want to give up. Like, they want to do what their sin wants them to do and just continue in the ways of the world. And so.
Yeah. I think we're dealing with a lot of apathy. Like, people just don't care.
Yeah.
There's so many things out there. There's so many things that they could do. So many quote unquote ways out or ways to heaven that people really don't care. If people want the power, they'll go to New Ageism and Wicca and whatever those things go. Like, if they want to be spiritual, they'll go to the New Age stuff.
Yeah.
And so for them to think that being a Christian and following Jesus is spiritual, like, they don't really see that. And so they're ready and willing to fulfill their desires without having the responsibility of coming and realizing that they're not all that in a bag of chips. And also just the fact that most of them just don't care. They don't care. They don't really believe that there's a quote unquote sky daddy. There's definitely been people that told me that described God or Jesus as a sky daddy, which is absolutely insane to me. But that just goes to show that they really don't care. They have no reference, no understanding of who God is and his significance and stuff like that. And so, yeah, there's a lot of apathy. There's a lot of like irreverence towards God.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people are just hurt and bitter
Yeah.
towards God, whether it be because of other people, whether it be like a poor representation of Christians, or whether it just be something that they think that God did or allowed to happen, and they're just bitter against it.
Yeah.
My question to you guys is so another question. Sorry, I'm phrasing these questions like it's the only question I've been asking. But okay, so as someone who's been overseas, have both of y'all been overseas before? I think both of y'all have, right?
I haven't.
Oh, you have it. Okay. Well, maybe Allison can answer this a little bit better then. Okay. So I've been overseas, and my experience in certain countries have been like there is a hunger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people want Jesus, but they don't know about him, right? So do you
Mm-hmm.
think that that is the case in America, or do you think, and like on campus, or do you think it is like maybe they're like last week we talked about how people have in America are kind of like, well, I could get Jesus whenever I want, right? So do you think there's as much of like a hunger for Jesus on campus, or do you think that we're starting to kind of slip as like a country, really?
I honestly kind of feel like it's more of a slip
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times I've come across a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm Christian, but they're really not. Like, they're Christian by title, not by lifestyle. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so they just call themselves a Christian. Like, they go to church on Sundays mornings and that's it. Like, they've not actually repented with their lives and they don't actually live their lives for Jesus. They continue to live it in the ways of the world. And like, at least from my, like, from what I've seen when I went overseas versus here, it's like, there's not, there's like really not any curiosity about Jesus anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody's really like, they're not in awe of him anymore. And they are not like wanting to hunger after him and like search for him versus overseas. Like, when people heard that I was a Christian, a lot of times I get questions about why.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who is Jesus to me? Why do I actually follow him? And then, like, a lot of the times the idea of Christians were portrayed in media, and like media portrayal is not always correct. So then they'd ask me more questions about that. But like, you could just kind of see it in their eyes versus here it's kind of like a, oh, I'm Christian. And then people are like, oh, okay. And sometimes they'll either ask me a couple questions, but most of the time they'll either be like, oh yeah, I'm Christian, I'm good, or they will like ignore me.
Yeah.
So like, we've definitely kind of lost that like hunger and thirst for Jesus.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, any answer for that, Kira, or no?
Yeah, I do have an answer for that. Just with my friend from Iran, she has a genuine hunger, and I've actually talked with another missionary that worked with Iranian refugees, and he says they are probably one of the most hungriest people group in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People from Iran that have never heard the gospel, that have a very skewed view on what Christianity is and what it looks like. I actually had to talk to my girl and explain to her that Mary is not the third person of the Trinity, um,
Yeah.
and that the Holy Spirit is the third person of the Trinity. And just being able to explain to her, and she's so hungry. I've given her a Jesus storybook Bible and even a study Bible, and I actually have a Bible, or a New Testament, sorry, a New Testament in her own language that I'm going to give her the next time I see her.
That's awesome.
um, and yeah, I'm super excited about it. But she has been reading through it and going through it, and she's been marking notes to ask me questions later on when we sit down and study the Bible together. And so she's so curious and so hungry. And yet, when I see or talk to people from here in America, they just don't care. It's another thing that they've heard before. Oh yeah, Jesus loves me. Oh yeah, this, that, and the other. And it's almost like they're numbed to from hearing all of these things being exposed, but it's not really saturating their hearts. Their hearts are hard to the gospel because they've been hearing it all of their life, but they're not willing to step out in faith to experience it. Whereas with somebody that's from overseas that has never heard of it before, like their heart can't be hardened to the extent that Americans are because they don't know enough information to have a hardened heart towards it, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I've definitely seen a difference between an international student and an American student.
Okay. Do you think that like there's anything like as a church, as like a greater church, not like us Mesa Church, but like as a greater church that we can do to really like get people interested? Like I know that's probably like 90% of your job is like trying to get people interested in Jesus. So like what do you think that can be done by the greater church?
One thing I've noticed that sometimes works with people that don't necessarily want to hear about Jesus to begin with is kind of just listening to them,
Mm-hmm.
is like kind of like trying to listen to them and understand maybe why, like hear their side first, basically. And then that kind of opens the door because it shows, like, hey, you actually genuinely are listening to them versus like a lot of times, like what I've seen, like, and this isn't true for everybody, but sometimes the evangelism tactics I have seen have been like, okay, you don't believe in Jesus. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. But like coming at somebody and telling them why they're wrong, that immediately shuts them, like that shuts the other person down. A lot of times they become defensive versus like the listening opens the door.
Yeah.
And like through that door, you're able to kind of be like, okay, I've heard you. I can see your perspective. Do you want to hear about mine? Do you want to hear like the truth?
Yeah.
You want to hear the actual like the truth, because this, like Jesus right here, he is the truth. And so just trying to be like not necessarily accepting, but more of like understanding, if that makes sense, because I feel like there's a difference between understanding and accepting.
Mm-hmm.
I
Kyra?
think also kind of along the lines of that is just showing them the love of Christ, just outright,
Mm-hmm.
like providing for needs, providing help when they need help, and just genuinely showing them the love of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And unconditional, like you don't expect anything in return. And like love is so radical that it softens even the hardest of hearts.
Yeah.
And so especially if it's something that's sacrificial and that hurts you just a little bit to do, and knows, and it just shows them that they would recognize that there was a cost to what you did, and you did it out of the goodness of your own heart and because that you love Jesus. And through those conversations, through that sacrificial love, it can bring about conversations about Jesus and why those things, the things that you believe, are what you believe. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think just shining the light of Jesus, being their friend even if they don't agree with you on theology, and just loving them and loving them well works wonders and does a lot more than anyone think it would do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. Okay, so we're about to wrap up here. Um, so I have one last question for you guys, and that is, what can we as Mesa Church, so not the church in general, but Mesa Church, what can we be praying for you guys about, either both personally and also like ministry wise? And I'm gonna type them in my phone and then put them up on the prayer wall in the prayer room.
I think, like, in terms of our ministry, we are losing quite a few people this year. We've got quite a few seniors that are graduating. Um, and so we're losing quite a few student leaders. So just kind of that we have some more students that want to take up responsibility and be leaders within our organization. We also need more guys to take up leadership responsibilities.
I'm gonna put especially men in caps.
Yes, we definitely need men to step up. My friend Irene, who is the other Chi Alpha intern, is here and she's giggling because she agrees. But also just like I feel like harmony within our community. I feel like God really wants to move. Like I really feel like God wants to move in this upcoming year. And this past year has been full of conflict for everybody in our ministry. It seems like everybody has been in multiple really rough conflicts this year, which is not fun. And then, Kyra, you got anything that you can think of for the ministry?
For ministry,
Yeah.
honestly, for everyone to be fully funded. One of the biggest issues that we are having is, well, just even not even just our ministry in general, but a lot of Chi Alpha ministries or a lot of Chi Alpha ministers are having a hard time being fully funded. And so just being able to open doors of opportunity, to be able to get connected with people that want to support missionaries, that want to continue to see life change on the university campuses for the University of Houston, for Texas Southern University, for Chi Alpha A&M up in
College
I
Station.
literally just no, not College Station, Prairie View A&M,
Okay.
uh, Prairie View A&M, for Lamar, for Sam Houston, all of these, even more in South Texas and in North Texas, in the area, we're all struggling quite a bit to be able to minister to our campuses because we are not funded enough.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just being able to make those connections and connect with people that genuinely want to be a part of what we're doing on these college campuses, and be able to make those connections, be bold to actually ask, because it's very humbling to ask for support.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I feel like that's the biggest one, because I know me, and my coworker Tori, I call her Toro. um, yeah, and even Allison, to a certain extent, we're all support raising, trying to make sure that we can go back to our campus and continue the work that the Lord has been doing at the University of Houston, changing the hearts and the lives of those on our campus. And so,
Okay. Awesome. Anything personally that we can pray for you guys about?
Mm, oh, for me, one of my friends, I've really been praying for her a lot. Kira prayed for her this morning, but I really want to see my friend saved. Because
Saved?
I've been saved. She
Oh,
doesn't know
okay.
Jesus. Like,
Oh,
if she
okay.
doesn't know Jesus, she doesn't want to know Jesus. Like, and I am not the person to bring her. Like, I know I'm not the person to help like bring her to Jesus. Because I've also known her for more than half my life. So she needs somebody besides me in her life to
Yeah.
show her Jesus's love. Because I'm like one of the only actual Christians she knows.
Hmm.
And so seeing just me as an example is not enough. She needs to see other people as an example in her life, I think, for that change to actually happen.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's my personal one.
Anything, Kira?
I think mine is going to be along the similar vein. My younger brother, he's not really a Christian. I mean, he grew up with church with me and stuff like that, but he's not really. He knows of Jesus in his head, but not really in his heart. But I've seen a lot of life and attitude change in my dad and in my mom. And so prayers that my parents and my older brother and sister-in-law would continue to grow in their relationship with Jesus, and that would be such a testimony to my younger brother and help him realize that this Christian stuff isn't just some frou-frou fake stuff, that it's really and truly life-changing, and it's powerful, and it's worth giving and surrendering his life to, and it's not just some arbitrary belief that gives us comfort at night or in a bad situation, you know?
Okay. Awesome. Um, Also, we will be. I will be posting both Allison and Kira's giving link in the description below the YouTube video. Um, and yeah, thanks for watching again, and we will see you next week. Thanks, guys, for coming on.
Yeah, anytime.
I'm so sad that my face has been frozen this whole time.
You've been asleep the whole time.
It really looks like you've been sleeping the whole time, Kyra.
Oh no!
I love you so much. You're so cute.
Thank you. I just sent a heart back, but it's frozen still.
Hey, y'all
Really funny.
hold tight, because I gotta talk to y'all after this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye, guys.
Okay.